The white society's greatest social power over black people has always been their ability to create false narratives that exalts and empowers their racial group, impose those false narratives upon black people, and then have black people function based upon those falsehoods as if they're true. Such as witnessed when the white society created the false narrative that God is white and then imposed it upon millions of black people globally. That false narrative gave the white society immense power over black people because that false narrative carries with it the subliminal message that given that Caucasians are also white, that they therefore are inherently closer to God. This subliminally makes many black people feel inherently subordinate to Caucasians and therefore more compliant with their white dominance over our lives. This subconsciously happens without most black people even realizing it. The Bible is not the only propaganda literature that the white society has used to give themselves greater power and control over black people. It's merely the first propaganda literature used for that purpose. The truth of the matter is that the entire history we've been taught has been whitewashed to meet those same objectives. According to white social scientists, in order for a ruling class to maintain its position of social dominance, the history taught within the society must endorse the dominant group's position of social dominance. Those who have a marginalized history cannot maintain their social dominance over a people who have a greater history. To teach that history would undermine the dominant group's position of social dominance. Therefore, the history we've been taught has been whitewashed to make Caucasians appear more significant and more relevant throughout history than they truly were, while making we Africans appear significantly lesser. This includes turning many black historical figures white and even giving their racial group credit for most inventions made by black people. The white society sits upon a throne of white exalting and black marginalizing lies. They even distort their maps to make Africa appear 13 times smaller than its true relative size, while making all white countries appear significantly larger than their true sizes. The nefarious whitewashing practice is called Orwellian propaganda. White historians justify this unethical practice as being merely the spoils of war, thus saying that it's customary for conquerors to rewrite history to favor themselves. However, the true reason it's being done is to give the white population a false version of history that endorses their current position of social dominance. The true history of Caucasians does not endorse their current position of social dominance over we Africans. They couldn't teach that we Africans were building pyramids while they were still living in caves, and that we Africans, it was we that educated them, civilized them, and even introduced the daily bath to them, and that we're responsible for most inventions that have revolutionized the entire world. They couldn't teach this and still maintain their social dominance over us. Therefore, the history we've been taught has been whitewashed to make Caucasians appear more significant throughout history than they truly were, while making we Africans appear significantly lesser throughout history than we truly were. This is our hidden reality. Doing so provides the white society with a false historical platform that endorses its current position, that aids it in maintaining its position of social dominance over black people. White social scientists also found that doing so instills a value system into the collective minds of black people that makes us more compliant with their white dominance over our lives. It's a social science tactic. Meeting these objectives is why white historians miseducate us to believe that history's first scholars were the Greeks. However, all of Greece's first scholars actually received their education from African scholars. history's true first scholars. It's also why white historians miseducate us to believe that the father of medicine was a Greek named Hippocrates. However, the true father of medicine was an African named Imhotep. Imhotep was practicing medicine and writing on the subject for more than 2,000 years before Hippocrates, the Greek, was even born. Meeting these noted objectives is also why white historians also miseducate us to believe that Africa's ancient Egyptians were ridiculously Europeans. The fact is, all scientific evidence irrefutably confirmed that Africa's ancient Egyptians were in fact Africans. Hair sample testings, melanin concentrated skin testing, bone density testing, geographical location, and carbon date testings have scientifically proven that the ancient kingdom was built by Africans thousands of years long before the arrival of the first Greeks and Arabs there during the 7th century. And DNA genetic testings have proven that Africa's ancient Egyptians were in fact Africans. Their DNA testings prove that they belong to the human Y chromosome group. And that's E1B1A. This is the Y chromosome group of sub-Saharan Africans, those who speak the Niger-Congo languages. They are consistent with sub-Saharan Africans. Nonetheless, white historians and white movie makers still ridiculously depict the ancient Egyptians as being Europeans. White historians have stolen the glorious history of Africa's ancient Egypt and falsely portrays it as theirs. They remove themselves from their cave-dwelling ancient history and falsely place themselves upon the thrones of Africa's ancient Egypt in order to give themselves a false historical platform that endorses their current position of social dominance. After all, they couldn't have possibly done so by teaching the truth that while Africans were building elaborate structures such as pyramids and so much more, their ancestors were still living in caves. Turning the ancient pharaohs of Africa into Europeans is only a part of it. White historians have also separated their racial group from their true Neanderthal ancestors of ancient Europe and have falsely attached themselves onto the Homo sapien history of we Africans. They do so while simultaneously claiming that they are the highest evolved Homo sapiens that turned white due to migrating to the colder climate of Europe, and that we Africans are the lowest, closer to the apes. However, it's also been scientifically proven by DNA analysis that Caucasians are not albino African Homo sapiens, but are instead, they get their skin color from Neanderthal DNA. It's been also proven that we Africans are the only true Homo sapiens. The entire history we've been taught has been whitewashed to endorse the Caucasians' current position of social dominance over us. Through this Orwellian propaganda practice, the white society has also manipulated millions to believe that most inventions that have revolutionized the world were invented by Caucasians, and to perceive we, black people, as being the leeches of society that haven't invented much throughout history. But the truth is the exact opposite from what they've manipulated through miseducation millions of people to believe. The hidden fact is that after slavery was abolished in the U.S. in 1865, beginning from 1870 to 1940, African Americans filed 726 invention patents to the U.S. Patent Office. For a people to go directly from being enslaved and then producing so much inventions in such a short time span is astounding. Moreover, those numbers more than doubled the number of patents submitted by Caucasians during the same period. And in spite of the fact that African Americans made up then less than 3% of the population. Your entire perception is a lie. The truth of the matter is that in spite of cultural traumas wrought by the injustices of white racism and slavery, most inventions that have revolutionized the world were either invented by black people or were directly inspired by earlier inventions by black people. Without black people, there would exist no internet, no cell phones. We wouldn't have cameras and microphones on our cell phones. We wouldn't have the accurate weather forecasting system. We wouldn't have the cataract laser removal scope giving sight to millions of people around the world. There'd be no emails, no GPS, no hearing aids, no touch tone, no caller IDs, no home surveillance security system, no motorized vehicles, no home game cartridge, no steam engines, no traffic lights, no working light bulbs, no elevators, therefore no skyscrapers. We wouldn't have air conditioning. There'd be no modern color PC, no 3D movies, no central heating, no refrigerators, no helicopters, no washing machines, no dry cleaning, no lawnmowers, no refrigerated trucks, no blood banks, no fiber optics, no nanotechnology, no doorknobs, no female sanitary pads, no bathroom tissue holders, no pencil sharpener, etc., etc. The advancements, we have benefited the world through our many inventions. But this is the reality you're not hearing. The reality is that black people have enriched the lives of every person on this planet through our many inventions. This fact is being deliberately kept from the public through the white society's monopoly over information. The white society sits upon a throne of white exalting and black marginalizing lies. And through this practice, the collective self-esteem of the white masses has been falsely bolstered at the expense of the collective self-esteem of the black masses. Your entire perception is an elaborate white deception. Those who control the narratives that are fed into a society literally control the perception of reality. The white society controls all the narratives. So they literally own the perception of reality. And they systematically feed lies into our society that exalts whites and marginalizes black people in order to keep the society functioning in ways that aids the white society in maintaining its social dominance over black people. I never said that what I teach would be easy for everyone to comprehend. I only said it would be the black liberating truth. You have to learn this. You have to elevate your mind above a biblical fairy tale, a silly slave syndrome myth. Those things are put in place to keep your mind dumbed down and keep you distracted. And don't dispute facts you don't understand for lies you've been misled to believe. Doing so will keep you mentally enslaved by the white society. They've created a prison for our minds. And I'm trying to show you the door, but you don't have to walk through it. Brothers and sisters, it's time to wake up. One love and peace.